Thank you. The spring session of the legislature just getting underway this week, but Governor Ron DeSantis is more than 1,000 miles away in Iowa, likely laying the groundwork for a White House run. Our co-anchor Todd McDermott joining us now with the pending announcement that now seems just a matter of time, Todd.
Well, Tiffany, we see reporting now from ABC News that he's telling donors and supporters it's going to happen. No surprise to anybody. Governor DeSantis doing more than making a stop in Davenport, Iowa this morning and in Des Moines, giving a stump speech and talking about the sales of his new book, a New York Times bestseller. It's called The Courage to Be Free, and autographing some copies. The books, by the way, were being handed out for free at his appearances. He was hosted by Republican Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds, who has not endorsed a candidate yet. Iowa is scheduled to be the first stop in Republican presidential primary season next January. And Governor DeSantis took full advantage of the opportunity to speak those potential primary voters, attacking companies like Disney he considers too liberal and touting his decision to reopen businesses and schools here in Florida early on in the pandemic. He also talked about immigration in Florida.
So when I became governor, we finally banned sanctuary cities in the state of Florida. And in the last few months, we've been able to stop and repatriate 11,000 illegal aliens back to their homes.
The governor also reminded the crowd that this week, a Trump-appointed judge ruled that the Biden administration policy that released asylum seekers at the U.S.-Mexico border rather than detaining them is illegal. Again, the governor has not officially announced his run for the White House, but it is expected sometime late spring, early summer. A short time ago, I talked with our WPBF 25 News exclusive political analysts, former Congressman Ron Klein, former Florida House Majority Leader Adam Hasner, about the governor's visit to Iowa.
This is an opportunity to introduce yourself, to talk about the Florida blueprint, right? To talk about the things that have been successful in Florida and really tell a little bit of his personal story.
He's had some success in Florida. Now you take that out and 49 other states. It's a whole new world. He's got some pretty very, very conservative positions on everything from guns to abortion to taking billions of dollars out of education plan for vouchers. These are things that play very nicely in Republican constituencies, but are not mainstream positions.
Now, again, the governor is well known to be doing a lot of fundraising, but he's scheduled to be in Des Moines and then in Nevada tomorrow, and this is more than fundraising. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump will appear in Iowa Monday, his first trip to the Hawkeye State since announcing his candidacy, the first one to do so back in November. Felicia?
Todd, thank you. A new poll in Iowa looked at which of the major names in the GOP presidential race voters are favoring at this point.
The poll asked voters about what they thought about former President Trump, Governor DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and former Vice President Mike Pence. 80% of the people polled said that they had a very favorable or favorable opinion of Trump. 18% had an unfavorable or very unfavorable opinion.
The poll found 65% had favorable opinions of DeSantis, but also found 20% had no opinion. 66% had favorable opinions of former Vice President Pence, 26% with unfavorable or very unfavorable opinions. And Nikki Haley was looked on favorably by 53% of those polled, with 40% saying they're not sure.